In a few hours, Mexico will play one of the most important matches of this group stage in the 2026 World Cup. Javier Aguirre's team has already secured its place in the next round after defeating South Africa and South Korea, but there is still a very important goal to achieve, finishing as top of Group A. On the other side will be a Czech Republic team that is fighting for its life. Only a win will keep their hopes of qualifying alive, so everything points to us witnessing a real thriller from the very first minute. And as we always do here on Barca Hoy, let's start by going over all the schedules so you don't miss a thing, no matter where you are. In Spain, the match will be played at 3 o'clock a.m. on Thursday. In Portugal, it will start an hour earlier at 2 o'clock a.m. In Mexico, where a spectacular atmosphere is expected at the Mexico City Stadium, the ball will start rolling at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. If you're following us from Baja California, it will start at 6 o'clock p.m. In the United States, it will depend on the time zone. On the East Coast, cities like New York, Miami, or Washington will be able to enjoy the match from 9 o'clock p.m. In the Central Time Zone, like Dallas, Houston, or Chicago, it will start at 8 o'clock p.m. In the Mountain Time Zone, like Denver, it will be at 7 o'clock p.m. And on the West Coast, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Las Vegas, or Seattle will be able to watch it from 6 o'clock p.m. In Canada, the time will be 9 o'clock p.m. in Toronto and Montreal, 8 o'clock p.m. in Winnipeg, and 6 o'clock p.m. in Vancouver. If we go to Central America, in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica, the match will start at 7 o'clock p.m. In Panama, it will kick off at 8 o'clock p.m. In the Caribbean, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Cuba will be able to follow it from 9 o'clock p.m., while in Jamaica it will be at 8 o'clock p.m. In South America, the schedule also changes depending on the country. In Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador, the match will start at 8 o'clock p.m. In Venezuela, Bolivia, Paraguay, and Chile, it will be at 9 o'clock p.m. And in Argentina, Uruguay, and Brazil, the kickoff will be at 10 o'clock p.m. So now you know, set your clocks properly because this is not just any match. Mexico wants to finish the group stage with a perfect record and confirm that it can compete against anyone in this World Cup. Meanwhile, the Czech Republic is facing a do-or-die match. The Europeans need to win and keep an eye on what happens in the other group match between South Africa and South Korea, which will be played at exactly the same time. And right now, we're going to analyze how both teams are coming into the match, what each one needs to qualify, and what Javier Aguirre's starting 11 might be for this decisive game. And now, we've reached one of the sections you ask for the most in each of these videos. Where can you watch Czech Republic versus Mexico live? Because depending on the country you're in, the broadcast changes completely. Let's start with Mexico, where the excitement is at its peak. The match can be watched live in its entirety on Canal 5 Las Estrellas TUDN and also through the VIX platform, so practically the whole country will have access to the game. A spectacular audience is expected, since the Mexican team comes in with a perfect record and the chance to finish the group stage as undefeated leaders. If you're following us from Spain, the match can be watched on Spanish television's La One, completely free to air, as well as on RTVE Play, so you can watch it from any device. And it will also be available on DAZN, which is providing full coverage of the 2026 World Cup. In Portugal, the match will be broadcast by Sport TV, which holds the rights to the World Cup. In the United States, where there is a huge Mexican community, there will be two main options. If you prefer the broadcast in English, the match can be watched on Fox. And if you want to follow it in Spanish, it will be available through Telemundo, as well as the Fox Sports app, Fubo, and Peacock platforms, which will also offer the match via streaming. In Canada, the broadcast will be handled by TSN, CTV, and RDS for the French-speaking audience. Moving on to Central America, there will also be extensive coverage. In Costa Rica, the match can be followed on Teletica. In Guatemala, it will be broadcast by Chapin TV. In El Salvador, by TCS. In Honduras, by Televicentro. In Nicaragua, by Canal 10. And in Panama, the ones in charge of broadcasting the match will be RPC TV and TVN. In South America, most countries will have the D-Sports signal, although there will also be free-to-air broadcasts depending on each territory. In Argentina, besides D-Sports, it will also be available on TLC. In Chile, it will be available on Chilevisión and D-Sports. In Colombia, the match will be broadcast by Caracol Televisión, RCN, and D-Sports. In Peru, it can be watched on America Televisión and D-Sports. In Ecuador, on Teleamazonas and D-Sports. In Venezuela, on Televen and D-Sports. In Paraguay, on Tigo Sports and D-Sports. In Bolivia, on Red Uno Unitel and D-Sports. And for all the fans in the Czech Republic, the match can be followed on Czech Sport, the public channel that is covering the entire campaign of the Czech national team in this World Cup. So now you have no excuse. No matter which country you're in, you'll be able to follow one of the most important matches in Group A. And pay attention because in the next segment, we're going to review the latest updates from Mexico's training camp, the statements from Javier Aguirre, the atmosphere in the locker room, and why this match could set the course for L3 in the World Cup knockout stage. And once we've gone over the schedules and channels, let's get to what's really important. How are both teams coming into this match? Because even though Mexico has already clinched its place in the next round, there's still a lot at stake in this last match day of Group A. Let's start with L3. The team led by Javier Aguirre comes in on a roll after achieving a perfect record in their first two matches. First, they defeated South Africa 2-0 in the opening match of the World Cup, and then they narrowly beat South Korea thanks to a goal from Luis Romo, a victory that mathematically secured first place in the group and a ticket to the round of 32. However, within the Mexican camp, there is a very clear message. No one wants to let their guard down. Javier Aguirre has admitted in a press conference that despite the 6 points, he is still not completely satisfied with the team's performance. He believes that Mexico can play much better, especially with the ball, and he wants his team to reach the knockout stage with as much confidence as possible. For the Mexican coach, this match is not just a formality, it's an opportunity. It's the perfect opportunity to keep growing as a team before the real World Cup begins, the one with the knockout rounds. Also, playing at home is a huge boost. The Estadio Ciudad de Mexico will once again have a spectacular atmosphere with tens of thousands of fans supporting L3. The excitement in the country is at its peak, and the goal is clear: to finish the group stage with 9 out of 9 possible points and send a very serious message to the other favorites in the tournament. They're facing a match. They will face a Czech Republic team under much more pressure. The Europeans started the World Cup with a loss against South Korea, and in the second match day they could only manage a draw against South Africa. That point keeps them alive, but it practically forces them to beat Mexico if they want to keep dreaming of qualifying. In addition, they will have to pay close attention to what happens at the same time in the South Africa versus South Korea match, because their future will also depend on that result. Despite the difficulty of the challenge, the Czech coach Miroslav Kubek wanted to send a message of confidence. Before the match, he said nothing is impossible in football and reminded everyone his team has overcome tough situations before. He also admitted that they will have to improve a lot compared to the first two matches, especially in ball possession and finishing, if they want to surprise a Mexican team that has yet to taste defeat. So the stage is perfectly set. Mexico plays without the pressure of having to qualify, but with the goal of maintaining their winning momentum and arriving stronger for the knockout rounds. The Czech Republic, however, faces a true final. They can't afford to sit back. They need to push themselves to the limit, go for the win, and hope that the other result in the group goes their way.